My name is Lena. I'm 27 years old and live in a quiet city apartment with two things I trust: my cat, Winston, and my planner. Every Monday, I grab a vanilla latte from the corner cafe and head to the Community Arts Center, where I work as a creative writing mentor. It's not a high-paying job, but it's fulfilling. And for a long time, I thought that was enough. Enough to keep people around me proud. Enough to hold on to the friendships I had nurtured since college. And maybe enough to stop my sister from trying to outshine me. I was wrong. My sister Paige is 2 years younger than me, but she's always acted like the older one. She's loud, confident, and walks like the world owes her a spotlight. Where I'm introverted and grounded, she's glamorous and unpredictable. She's studied public relations, dated influencers, and started a fashion brand that somehow always needed rescuing. Guess who she always called when rent was due or inventory got stuck in customs? Pass. Kai. Me. Even when I didn't have it, I found a way to help her. She'd smile, say thank you with a hug, then disappear until the next crisis. Still, I told myself she loved me, that deep down, beneath the vanity and chaos, she cared. Until last month, when I found out what she did. What they all did. It was a Friday. I had just hosted a small poetry reading at the center. My 3 closest friends, Jenna, Cass, and Marielle, were there. We laughed, grabbed drinks after, and took silly photos under string lights. It felt real, like the kind of night you replay in your head when you're lonely. But 2 days later, I got a text from someone I hadn't spoken to in a while. "Hey, I thought you should see this. I'm sorry." Attached was a screenshot, then another, then a full folder, group chat messages, between Paige and my 3 best friends. I couldn't breathe. They weren't just mocking me, they were planning it. Coordinating moments during the reading to interrupt, to ask random questions they knew would throw me off. Jenna, should I pretend to cry again? That always makes her flustered. Cass, let's ask her to define symbolism mid-reading. She panics under pressure. Mariel, Paige, you owe me dinner for this. Paige, done. Make sure someone gets it on video. She's so painfully awkward when she spirals. I stared at the screen. My throat closed. My chest burned. That night hadn't been real. It was a setup, orchestrated by the person I called my sister, and carried out by the people I called my friends. I didn't sleep. I didn't cry. I just sat in my living room, Winston curled up next to me, and replayed every fake laugh, every forced compliment. Then something in me shifted, quietly. I made a new folder on my desktop. I labeled it Proof. Then I messaged the person who sent me the screenshots. They replied instantly. "I'll tell you everything. Just promise you'll never say it came from me." I promised. And from that moment on, I knew exactly what I had to do. I couldn't stop staring at the messages. They didn't just humiliate me. They enjoyed it. Each message read like a script, one that I wasn't meant to read, one where I was the joke, the, quote, awkward older sister with no sense of style and too many feelings. That's what Paige called me. And my friends? Joe, they agreed, with emojis, with inside jokes, with dollar signs, literally. That night, I didn't cry, I wrote. For the first time in weeks, I opened a blank document. Not for work, for me. I titled it, The Unseen Sister, and I let the words spill. About being the backup, the emotional mule, the one who always forgave. And when I hit save, I felt something settle in my chest. Not peace, but clarity. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to block anyone. I was going to make them talk, without knowing they were doing it. The next morning, I texted Jenna, "Hey, I had so much fun Friday. Want to grab coffee later this week?" She replied in minutes. "Totally. Thought you'd be mad I spilled wine on your poem printout, lol." Fake guilt. Genuine nerve. Tuesday afternoon, we met at our usual spot. She looked nervous. Maybe she knew. Maybe not. I ordered chamomile tea. She got a caramel frappe, extra whip, and then, halfway through a casual laugh, I leaned in. "I've been thinking about hosting another reading. A bigger one." Jenna smiled, wide and eager. "Like a gala event?" "Exactly. I said. And this time, I want to document everything. Behind the scenes, candid moments, raw, real emotions. Think, artistic documentary. She sipped her drink, her eyes narrowing. You mean record us? I nodded. I want the real people in my life to be seen. No filters, no edits. Just truth. Her face twitched. Something about the word truth made her blink a little slower. The next day, I made the same pitch to Cass. Then to Marielle. Same reactions. Smiles a little too stiff. Laughter a little too loud. But they said yes, of course they did. They'd played roles before. They assumed this was just another one. Only this time, I was the director. I went home and reread the folder. The sender had kept their promise. Every exchange between Paige and the girls was cataloged, labeled, time-stamped. And one message stood out. Paige. Tell Lena she should read a new piece. Something emotional. The crying gets views. That wasn't just manipulation. That was performance coaching. She wasn't just bribing them with dinners and discounts. She was offering secrets. Paige's currency had always been gossip. She knew what Cass did in college that no one else did. She knew Jenna's ex wasn't really an ex. She knew Marielle's scholarship had conditions she never met. And she traded those secrets like poker chips. I wasn't surprised. Paige had always known how to own people without paying $1. But this time, she was about to pay. Because the person who sent me the screenshots, they weren't one of my friends. They weren't someone close to her. They were Paige's secret. One she thought she buried. One that still breathed. And they were ready to talk. The messages kept coming. Every morning, a new batch. Screenshots, voice notes. Even a screen recording of Paige on a late-night call. She was laughing. High, manic laughter. Lena's gonna cry again, I swear. It's like her brand now. Then she added, if this goes viral, I'll cut y'all in, trust. Viral. That was her goal. Not love, not family, not support. Just views. Paige didn't want a sister. She wanted a spectacle. But her biggest mistake wasn't recording it. It was forgetting who else was on the call. The person sending me these files? His name was Jonah. He wasn't just Paige's old flame. He was her ex from 2 years ago, the one she ghosted, the one she cheated on, the one she told everyone had anger issues just to cover her own betrayal. But Jonah never lashed out. He went quiet, finished school, got a job in tech, and kept receipts, literally. I saved everything, he told me in our first call. I was going to delete it, but then I saw what she did to you. And I couldn't. His voice was calm, but I could hear the old pain wrapped around every word. I just want the truth out there, he said. So do I replied. Over the next week, Jonah and I built a digital timeline. Each event, each message, each betrayal, mapped and backed up. I labeled each chat folder with codenames. C1 for Cass, J2 for Jenna, M3 for Marielle, and P0 for Paige. Because 0 was the only number she deserved now. But I wasn't rushing. That's what people like Paige always do. They throw fireworks to distract. Me? I planted seeds. Quiet. Steady. I began dropping subtle clues. First, I created a private Instagram account, @ArtoFundoing. I posted poetry lines, each one sourced from their own words. One post read, "She cries easy. We love the mess." C1. Another, "If I ruin her on camera, will I still get dinner?" M3. No names, no tags, just screenshots in shadow. But they knew. The guilt in their silence said it all. Jenna stopped texting. Cass left our group chat. Marielle unfollowed me. Good. Let the tension spread. Let them wonder who else had the files. Because this time, I wasn't the girl who cried under bad lighting. I was the one with the script. One night, Paige called. Unusual. She never called unless she needed money or a favor. I answered, letting my voice stay flat. "Hey, Lena," she said, too cheery. "So listen, something weird's going on. Have you seen this weird poetry page?" I smiled. No sound. Just silence. Anyway, she went on, people are acting strange. And I think it's about me? Why would it be about you? I asked calmly. A pause. Then, I don't know. Just checking. She was nervous. She should be. Because while she tried to ruin me with drama, I was building something she couldn't delete. A story. With chapters. With names. And very soon, with faces. By the end of the second week, the private account had over 2,000 followers. No hashtags, no promotions, just shares, quiet ones. The kind people send in DMs with captions like, "This sounds familiar," or "Wasn't she at that poetry thing?" The rumors were bubbling. And I let them. Jenna texted me again. "Hey, did you make that weird account?" I didn't answer. She followed up. "Because if you're mad about something, we can just talk?" I almost laughed. Talk? Where was that energy when you were staging my embarrassment like a TikTok challenge? At work, things stayed the same. I taught my classes. I reviewed student drafts. I helped a shy 12-year-old write about her mom's cancer diagnosis with more grace than anyone I knew. Outside the center, though, I was a storm brewing in silence. Then something shifted. Marielle posted a story. A black screen with white text. "I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. But I never meant to hurt anyone." Then Cass did the same. Then Jenna. 3 matching non-apologies. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Because someone else already had. Jonah messaged me a video. It was from Paige's private story. She'd filmed herself at a party, wine glass in hand, laughing about haters with poetry accounts and jealous sisters with trust issues. But what she didn't realize, what none of them realized, was that Jonah had screen recorded the whole thing. Every frame, every laugh, every insult. And at the end of the clip, she said something that made my blood run cold. "Lena's so predictable. She'll probably write some tragic blog post about this. Honestly, I'm doing her a favor. This is her content now." That was it. The final match. The one that set the fire. I texted Jonah, "Let's go live." He replied with a single word. "Ready." I prepped the post. It wasn't a name drop. It was a confession. A calm, written piece that read like reflection but cut like a blade. I once trusted 3 women with my voice. They sold it for attention. I once called someone sister. She called me content. And while I read poems, they read scripts. Ones they wrote behind my back. I ended it with the words, "You never saw the full video, but I have it." Then I posted the clip, the one of Paige laughing, talking about my breakdowns like they were a marketing pitch, and tagged no one. But I didn't need to. Everyone knew who it was. By nightfall, my inbox exploded. Old classmates, writers I admired, even strangers, all sending some version of the same message. This happened to me too. I didn't respond to most of them, not out of arrogance, but because I needed space, the kind Paige never gave me. By midnight, Paige texted, "No emojis, no fake sweetness. Just, delete it, we need to talk." But I didn't reply. Because the girl who cried quietly on poetry night, she was gone. This new version of me, me. She didn't beg. She didn't fold. She let the truth do the speaking, and it was just getting started. The next morning, Paige showed up at my apartment, uninvited. Like always, I didn't open the door right away. I watched her through the peephole. Expensive sunglasses, messy bun, arms crossed like she was waiting for an assistant. Not a sister. She knocked again. Harder. "Lena, open up. This is ridiculous." I opened the door, slowly. She stepped inside without asking. Like it was still her space, like she still had a place here. She looked around. Same couch. Same lamp. Same cat asleep on the windowsill. But something felt different. And she knew it. "Look," she began. "I get it. You're mad. Fine. But you need to calm down. This online crusade or whatever, it's embarrassing." I didn't say a word. Just folded my arms. She kept going. "You think airing this stuff helps anyone? It's just drama." And it was a joke. That night with the girls, we were messing around. You're so sensitive. I cut her off. Stop. She blinked, caught off guard. I never interrupted her. Until now. You planned my humiliation, I said quietly. You scripted it, filmed it, and encouraged it, and you're calling it a joke? She sighed, rolling her eyes. I was just trying to make you loosen up. People think you're too uptight. I thought maybe if you saw it from another angle, you'd change, I said. She didn't answer. Then I asked her a question she wasn't prepared for. What would you have done if I had cried on stage? She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Because she didn't know. Or maybe she did. And couldn't say it. I stepped closer. You wanted a moment, Paige. Something messy to share. A meltdown you could post with a clever caption. Her eyes flicked away. Guilt started to crack her fake confidence. And I didn't stop there. I'm not your character. I'm not your prop. And I'm not your weaker half. She looked like she wanted to argue. But the words stayed locked in her throat. Then, softly, she said it. You were always the quiet one, Lena. People notice loud more than they notice kind. I just wanted someone to notice me. I paused. Not because I believed her, but because I finally understood. Paige didn't ruin me out of hatred. She did it because I was everything she wasn't. Steady, trusted, loved. Genuinely, not performatively. And that scared her. You were noticed, Paige, I said, walking to the door. Just not for the reasons you hoped. She stood frozen. No tantrum, no shouting, just a silence we'd never shared before. And for the first time, she looked small. Not in height, but in heart. I opened the door and held it. She walked out without another word. And as it closed behind her, I felt no anger, just relief. Because for the first time in my life, I hadn't let her rewrite the ending. 2 days after Paige left my apartment, the poetry account went viral. Not accidentally. I made it happen. One tweet. A single sentence. What happens when your sister bribes your best friends to humiliate you on stage? Here's what. Attached were 4 screenshots. No faces, no names, just raw proof. Within 6 hours, the post had 30,000 retweets. By the end of the day, it had a hashtag. Hashtag poetry betrayal. Writers, artists, even influencers began reposting it. Not because it was juicy, but because it was relatable. The betrayal, the gaslighting, the fake apologies. Everyone had a story. And mine became the mirror. I didn't say Paige's name. I didn't tag anyone. But somehow, people figured it out. Maybe it was the wine glass video. Maybe it was the voice clip Jonah posted later that evening. The one where Paige joked about emotionally manipulating me into crying on cue. Whatever it was, the story broke open. Jenna's Instagram disappeared overnight. Cass locked her Twitter. Marielle posted a black screen with a quote from Brené Brown. Classic. And Paige? She posted a selfie. Caption: growth is messy. But I'm working on myself. Please be kind. The comments weren't kind. Not anymore. People weren't buying the influencer rebrand this time. Not after seeing the receipts. Not after watching someone weaponize vulnerability for clout. I got a message from someone unexpected. A girl named Avery. She went to college with Paige. I believe you, she wrote. She did something similar to me in sophomore year. I never said anything. I just wanted to thank you for not staying quiet. I didn't cry, but my hands trembled. Because for the first time, my silence wasn't expected. My voice was. Jonah messaged next. You okay? I typed back. More than okay. You? He replied. Relieved. That night, I got another text. From Marielle. Long. Full of excuses. Lines like, I didn't know it would go that far. And? Paige made it sound harmless. She ended with, I hope one day you can forgive me. I stared at it for a full minute, then typed, "You didn't have to protect me, but you didn't have to join in either." Then I muted her thread. No block, no drama, just distance. The kind that comes after truth, not the explosive kind. The clean-cut kind. By the next morning, the story had been picked up by a blog, then a podcast, then a mini video essay with dramatic piano music. I didn't care about the views, but I cared about the message. Betrayal doesn't always come from enemies. Sometimes it wears a familiar face. Sometimes it borrows your clothes. Sometimes it hugs you right before the knife goes in. I wasn't broken anymore. I wasn't bitter either, but I was ready. Because soon, I'd post the final part, the full video, every second of the joke night, unedited, unfiltered. And when I did, I wasn't doing it for revenge. I was doing it so no one else would ever wonder if their pain was real. The art center hadn't changed. Same creaky wooden floors, same smell of old books and lavender cleaner. But when I stepped into the main hall that Friday evening, it felt different. Because this time, I wasn't nervous. I wasn't second-guessing every word in my notebook. I wasn't wondering if someone would accidentally spill water on the mic again. This time, I knew who I was. I had decided to hold another poetry reading. But not just another one. This was the one. The reading page never saw coming. And the one no one would forget. The invite was simple. No drama, no hashtags. Just an open mic night with a featured reading from The Unseen Sister. I didn't post about it on the viral account. Didn't tag names, didn't drop hints. But the hall still filled. Chairs were set in rows. People brought notebooks, coffee, and tension. They were here for poetry. But they were also here for something else. Closure. I stepped onto the stage wearing my simplest outfit, black jeans, a sweater, and my lucky boots. No sparkle, no performance. Just me. I took a breath and began. My first poem was called Inheritance. It wasn't about money. It was about emotional debt. About being handed silence and guilt like heirlooms. About calling it love because you didn't know better. As I read, I saw people crying, not loud sobs, the quiet kind. The kind that says, "Me too." When I finished, the room clapped, not out of politeness, but solidarity. Then I pulled out one final note. This wasn't a poem. It was a message. I looked at the crowd. "I want to play something," I said. And from the side table, I picked up a small remote. The screen behind me flickered. A video began. It was the footage. The one from the night Paige and the others had planned everything. It started with me on stage, reading a piece called "Kindness is Not a Weakness." Then the interruptions. Jenna's fake tears. Cass's smirking questions. Marielle's eye rolls. And behind it all, Paige. Filming, laughing, whispering. This is gold. The video ended with a still frame. A close-up of me looking confused on stage. Lost. Unaware. And then I stepped back to the mic. I didn't show you this to shame anyone. I showed you because sometimes people turn your softness into a stage. They make you the punchline, the weak one, the misfit. And they call it a joke. I paused. But I'm not a joke. And neither are you. The room stood. Not just applause, but something deeper. Like a release. Afterward, people came up, one by one. Not to compliment. To thank. To confess. I left a friend group like that 2 months ago. My sister did something similar. I thought I imagined it. You made me feel less alone. I didn't see Paige there. Of course not. She'd never show her face at something she couldn't control. But I saw Jonah. He stood near the back, arms crossed, nodding slowly. Not proud, not smug, just proud for me. And I saw something else too. One of the girls. Cass. She was in the last row, crying, alone. I didn't wave, I didn't speak. I just let her sit with it. 'Cause this story wasn't hers anymore, it was mine. and I was done whispering. 2 days after the reading, Paige went live on Instagram. Hair curled. Minimal makeup. Soft piano music playing in the background. A carefully curated apology setup. "Hey guys," she began, voice trembling just enough to feel practiced. "I want to talk about some things that have come to light recently." She didn't say my name, but she didn't need to. She called it a misunderstanding. Said she was just trying to bring attention to Lena's work. She even claimed the recording was taken out of context, that she never meant to hurt me, that she was young, misguided, and manipulated by people who didn't want us to be close. I watched all 14 minutes of it, not because I cared, but because I needed to know how far she'd go. Answer: far enough to cry fake tears, then plug her healing journey blog at the end. The comments were mixed. Some still defended her. Others weren't buying it. She didn't even name the sister. Why is she promoting a blog in the middle of an apology? Feels rehearsed? Anyone else notice the edits? And then, the moment that sealed it, Jonah posted a video, just 1 minute long. No intro. No hashtags. It was Paige's voice, saying, "Even if it blows up, I'll spin it. I've done it before. People love a redemption arc." Paige hadn't just betrayed me. She had rehearsed the cleanup. I didn't respond publicly. I didn't go live. Didn't post rebuttals or share more proof. Because I didn't need to. The truth had a way of surviving long after the apology tours ended. But she wasn't done. She showed up at the arts center, unannounced, in sunglasses and designer flats, pretending she was checking out the space for a future collab. The receptionist froze, texted me immediately. "She's here. Do you want me to ask her to leave?" I didn't hide. I stepped out of my office and faced her head on. She smiled like nothing happened. "Hey sis, can we talk?" In front of my students, my staff, my space. "No," I said clearly. "This isn't the place." She stepped closer, lowered her voice. "People are turning against me, Lena. I just want to fix this. You've made your point. Now be the bigger person." I didn't flinch. I was the bigger person for years. While you humiliated me for fun, while you turned my friends into pawns, while you whispered things you hoped no one would ever hear. She looked around, embarrassed. "Do you want to destroy me?" "No," I said. "I just want you to stop pretending you didn't." She blinked. For the first time, I saw it. The panic. Not because she was sorry, but because the mask wasn't working anymore. She turned and left. And this time, I didn't watch her go. I walked back into my office and shut the door. Not because I was hiding, but because I had better things to do, like prepare for a workshop on truth-telling, and host a seminar about creative resilience, and meet with a publisher who wanted to talk about my new poetry collection, titled Uninvited Confessions. It happened a week later. I was at a bookstore downtown, signing copies of my poetry chapbook. The reading night had gone so viral, I got offers from 3 indie publishers. I chose the smallest one, not for the money, but because their editor said, "We don't want to make this marketable. We want it honest." That was enough. There were 30 people in line. Some had tears in their eyes. Others handed me letters. And a few just whispered, "You put into words what I never could." Then I saw her, standing near the magazine rack. Big sunglasses again, fake casual, but the tension in her shoulders gave her away. Paige. She didn't join the line. She waited until it cleared, then walked up. Not smiling this time, not pretending. "You're really doing it, huh?" she said. "Turning this into a brand." I capped my pen. "Turning what into a brand?" "This whole victim thing," she hissed, voice low. "Acting like I ruined your life." I stared at her, so calm it scared even me. "I didn't have to act. You did that for me," she scoffed. "People don't understand what you're like. You always played the poor wounded bird. You were boring, Lena. No edge, no ambition, just endless feelings." I paused, then said, "Feelings you tried to exploit." Her eyes flashed. I made you interesting. There it was, the truth. Ugly, raw, undeniable. You didn't make me interesting, Paige, I said. You made yourself irrelevant. She froze. That landed harder than anything else. Because Paige lived for relevance. For attention. And now? She was background noise in a story that no longer centered her. Before she could respond, a voice cut through the moment. Excuse me? Are you Lena? A girl, maybe 19, holding my book like it was something sacred. I came all the way from New Jersey. Your poem Inheritance made me realize I wasn't crazy for walking away from my family. I smiled, genuinely. Thank you. That means everything. Beside me, Paige shrank, physically. Emotionally, she stepped back like she didn't belong, and for the first time, Mahoksai Svakiors, Mista Marvel. She didn't. She left without another word. No scene, no tears, just absence. And somehow, that silence was louder than anything she'd ever said. Later that night, Jonah texted me. She showed up at my place. Said you've brainwashed everyone. I told her the only person she fooled was herself. I didn't reply. Not right away. Instead, I opened a blank document. Typed the title. The Girl Who Wrote Her Own Ending. Because that's what this was. Not revenge. Not closure. But authorship. And for once, I wasn't the character someone else controlled. I was the one holding the pen. It's been 3 months since the night I stood on that stage. Since I pressed play on the truth. Since my sister's voice echoed through speakers and screens, no longer in whispers, but in proof. And in those 3 months, everything changed. The poetry account? Pugamese. I shut it down. Not because I was ashamed, but because I no longer needed it. Its purpose was complete. It had spoken. It had healed. And now, it could rest. The Art Center asked me to lead a new program. Creative resilience for teens who'd survived bullying and emotional abuse. I said yes. Because some of the most powerful writers I've ever met were also the quietest kids in the room. Jonah and I? Yes. Still just friends. Good friends. The kind who don't need to say everything to understand it all. He's working on a podcast now. Wants me to read my poems between episodes. I said maybe. Strange. We both met Paige in different stories. But we left her in the same chapter. As for Paige, she tried everything. New image, new therapist, a few healing posts, a yoga retreat. But something shifted. Not in her, but in everyone else. People stopped listening. Not out of cruelty, but clarity. When the curtain falls, even the loudest character gets quiet. She hasn't spoken to me since the bookstore. And I haven't reached out. Not because I hate her. I don't. I never did. But love without accountability isn't love. It's a leash. And I don't wear one anymore. Cass sent me a letter. A real one. No emojis, no excuses. Just 2 pages of uncomfortable honesty. I wanted to be around Paige because she made me feel powerful. But I realize now, I gave up kindness for influence, and I'm sorry. I didn't reply. But I didn't tear it up either. Some wounds you don't bandage, you just let them scar. So you never forget. Last week, I hosted another reading. No drama, no secrets, just writers, stories, truth. And when I stepped on stage, I didn't shake. I didn't worry who was watching. I didn't scan the room for hidden laughter. I read a new piece. Not about betrayal, not about sisters, but about peace. About waking up and making tea in silence. About Winston purring beside my notebook. About being okay with being alone. And afterward, someone came up to me. A girl no older than 17. Eyes wide, notebook clutched to her chest. She whispered, "How did you stop caring what people think?" I smiled, took a breath, and told her the truth. I didn't stop caring. I just started caring more about myself than their approval. She nodded, wrote it down. And I knew she'd remember it long after I was gone. Because the final line of the story, it was mine. and I wrote it without asking permission. What do you think about Lena's decision? Was she too harsh, or was this the only way to truly protect herself? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories about family.